Hi folks, this is my astrological forecast for May 2025. But first of all, when you get an astrologer comes towards you and says, would you like an astrological reading? And they've got a bright, shiny, brand new ephemeris, run a mile, okay? This is my ephemeris. Tattered, torn, battered and bruised, falling to pieces, bit like me. But without it, I'd be lost. It's my Bible. It's where I see all the patterns, and from the numbers, I can make patterns which then translate into words, and somehow they come out my mouth. And that is the way it works. I don't expect you to believe me. And I could bamboozle you and say, oh, I've studied this 45 years, which I have. And I've gone through all these techniques, but actually sometimes it's just basic pattern recognition and trust in your own ability to translate those patterns into words. Now, May is going to be fundamentally different to any month so far this year. And you know why? There's going to be a lot of change and a lot of the pressure of recent times is going to ease up a little bit. Now we're going to release this video a little bit earlier than May, so I'm just going to put a 30-second segment here to advertise the gig I'm doing in St Albans on the 2nd to the 5th of May with Rick Levine, Penny Thornton, Nick Campion, Alex Janelle and myself. And as I previously announced on the last Mars-Pluto video of a day or three ago, we are now selling streaming tickets, and you can have a virtual front row seat to watch all of us in action. And the link for this is right underneath this video. And if you're in a time zone where the actual live stream doesn't work for you because you'll be asleep or whatever, then you will be able to watch the stream for a limited amount of time afterwards using the same codes as when you buy it for the live stream. So if you want to join us, you're welcome. We'd love to have you. Limited numbers only, first come, first served. May. First of all, the new moon in May, at the end of May, 27th of May, 6 degrees of Gemini. It's calm. It does throw very long-term fishing lines into the future, like 18 months into the future, when Uranus will be at 6 degrees of Gemini. But it's not aspecting anything else in the sky, so it's relatively quiet. The full moon on the 12th of May at 22 degrees of Scorpio is also quiet. So straight away, the new and the full moons are quiet. The Mars-Pluto opposition of the end of April is fading away as we get into May. And by the time we're into something like the 6th, 7th of May, it's completely gone. And Pluto will start going retrograde on the 3rd, 4th of May. So it's a bit of a shift here. Neptune is quiet. Uranus is relatively quiet. Jupiter is accelerating now through Gemini and approaching the very end of Gemini, and it will change sign in early June. So Geminis, make the most of May because this is the last whole month that Jupiter's going to be in your sign. And Leo, Mars is in your sign all month. Now, he's not affecting all of you, but he is affecting at least half of you. Those of you born from, say, the 27th of July through to about the 13th of August, Mars is going to be on your sun this month. So use the energy so that it doesn't use you. Venus is going to spend the entire month in Aries. It's finally leaving Pisces on the last day of April, and it's going to be in Aries all month, you lucky people. Mercury begins the month in Aries, spends 2 weeks in Taurus, and ends the month in Gemini. So we've covered most of the planets, and I hear you thinking, well, what's the big deal? Doesn't seem to be a lot going on. But there is. under the surface. At the end of the month, Saturn is going to leave Pisces and move into Aries. Now, this is actually going to happen on the 25th of May. And then Saturn will move into early Aries, and he will stay there for 3 or 4 months until he retrogrades back into Pisces at the beginning of September, before moving back into Aries permanently and finally in the middle of February. And then he will immediately conjunct Neptune. But we'll deal with that one in 6 to 8 months' time. So Saturn moving into Aries. Okay, it's a pretty big deal. I'm sure most Pisceans will be glad to see Saturn go. But what we're also seeing is that I don't just work with the planets from a geocentric, Earth-based perspective. There's another system of astrology which doesn't work so much at the personal level, but certainly works at the geophysical level, non-human affairs. And this is heliocentric astrology, where you put the sun in the middle of the horoscope instead of the Earth. And the big difference about heliocentric astrology is that there's never any retrogrades. Now, using geocentric astrology, Neptune moved into Aries on the very last day of March, 30th, 31st of March. But from a heliocentric perspective, Neptune moves into Aries once and once only, once every 163 years, once every 164 years, Neptune moves into Aries within 36 hours of the geocentric movement of Saturn into Aries. What this tells me is that the period of 23, 24, 25, 26 May is likely to be hugely significant. Now, I am going to stick my neck out on this. I don't like doing it as I get older, but hey, I think there's going to be some type of big geophysical event. Not a hurricane, because we're not in hurricane season, not a typhoon, an earthquake, a volcano. I think there's going to be a big shift planetary-wide around that time. I don't know where. Of course, if I was to look at the astrocartography of this, I'd probably be able to give some idea. But we are in a crazy year. And the period of November 24 through to March 26 is the most concentrated and compressed time of human history. So there's all types of things going on. But the thing is, so far from November to April, it's all been in the physical, the wars, the economic, the financial, the political, the celebrity. And now in May, we're going to see a downturn in a lot of these things. Now, this does not mean that things are going to calm down, because in early June, there's another big spike, and then another one in mid-August, and then yet another one around the 3rd, 4th week, around the equinox, around the 21st, 22nd of September. And this is all leading up to the big one around February, March of next year. But this May is quieter. This doesn't mean you can chill, and it certainly doesn't mean you can go back to the way it was 6 months ago, because them days are gone. We're stuck with what we've got, but it's how we use it that makes a difference. So I suggest that we can now come out of our bunkers during May and dare to start dancing with the new energies a bit and start actually influencing the way the energy flows around us. We can start consciously throwing fishing lines into the future and planting seeds. And there's still going to be a lot of ups and downs. But I do believe that the period of long intensity of this year is now over. I still think we've got to be careful, particularly towards the end of May. But I'm delighted to say that May looks like being less stressful than any month so far this year. Enjoy. Catch you later, folks. Thanks for listening. Bye now.